Okay, hi. Welcome back, HPM 641 students. We are now in week 7B. And so this is the last video that I'm going to show you to this week. And we're still talking about contemporary leadership theories. Now, again, this is a big area. And so I really urge you to spend more time to think about this leadership theory. Definitely, read the textbook, okay, and think about, these different approaches and how applicable it is, how practical it is, in actual situations, in real healthcare management situations. Again, suppose you're a leader, okay, in this organization. Now, in this second kind of part of the week, we're going to talk about even more leadership approaches or theories, okay? And we're going to be even more practical than our week 7A, okay? Now, in the previous video, when we talk about leadership, we already, kind of move away from the early theories of using simply just trait or behaviors to talk about leadership, okay? We are, adding the variable of situations, okay? Think about the contingency, okay? Think about how leaders can do well, do a good job in different situations and contingencies. And the other variable is the followers, okay? We're thinking about, what kind of leadership styles will work, with different types of subordinates, with different types of followers, okay? And how we can actually improve that leader member kind of exchange, by increasing interactions and so on. These are all good. But if you really think about the leadership's style or leadership, approaches in even more real and practical situations, we need to think about kind of more factors or things that actually matters in healthcare. Now, first of all, well, yeah, there are different leaderships and different leaders, but why does that matter? Okay, what kind of outcomes do we really want? Okay, because we're talking about performance, we're talking about goal. In this, really kind of still an abstract way. We think about good leaders, good followers. We have good outcomes in all aspects, but that's not necessarily true, right? Because you might be able to drive performance in one way, but you may not be able to actually change the direction of the organization, okay, which might actually matter more in the long run for the organization. And so in this part of the leadership discussions, we're going to talk about something more long term. We're going to talk about some of the changes that we really want to bring to the organization. Um, we're thinking about things like we have the accountable care as an organization. We have the Affordable Care Act. We have like many different new changes in healthcare. Do we want to achieve those changes as what we really want a leader to give us, to help us, okay? Do we really want to change healthcare? Do we really want to give universal access to people? Do we want to increase insurance coverage and something big, bigger problems, okay? And when we think about all these issues, we need to think about leadership theories in an even more kind of long-term, more important ways, if you will, okay, about leadership. Now, so the outcomes for this part of the class is somewhat different, okay? We're trying to understand transformational leadership. Okay, we're trying to think about the types of leader that can actually transform an organization. Okay, that can actually turn these health organizations into something uh, much better, okay, than in the past. Okay, we're not just talking about like improving the performance um, transactionally in a short-term perspective. We're talking about we're talking about a broader change, that will make organizations or make even the entire health sector more effective, efficient. Okay, we want to identify the similarities and differences between what we call the transformational and transactional approaches of leadership. Okay, we talk about the differences between them. Discuss the appropriate applications of transformational leadership style in the contemporary work environment, because obviously we are focusing more on the transformational type of leaders. In this chapter, we're going to examine this type of leadership in the healthcare management setting in particular. And we're going to talk about some of these interesting things that we can draw from these transformational leaders. We'll talk about this charismatic, servant, and collaborative leadership. Okay, identified characteristics common to these different types of leaders. Usually, that's what we can find from the transformational leaders, and discuss the development of behavioral competencies for healthcare leaders. Okay, so we are actually trying to combine these two things that we learned from the previous two chapters a bit. Okay, maybe the traits and the behavior still matter. Okay, but we also need to look at the context, look at the subordinates, and then now finally we're also thinking about what exactly do we want to accomplish. Now, transactional and transformational leaders are different. Okay, transactional leadership is important. Okay, I'm not saying that it's not useful, because this type of leaders or this type of leadership style is directed toward task accomplishment. Okay, and the maintenance of good relations between the leader and the subordinates through consideration of performance and reward. Okay, in this type of leadership style or this type of leaders, they look at this reward and performance kind of contingent on how the subordinates, how the followers can achieve their goal. Okay, remember we have this concept of task oriented. This task structure is very well structured, is very predictable. These type of leaders pay attention to these transactions. They want to make things well. They want to do things right. Okay, this is important. Okay, but transformational leaders are doing more than this transaction. Okay, sometimes they may not be doing very good in transaction type of things, but they are more directed toward the influence and management of institutional change and innovation through different types of things like revitalization of some of the organization activities, or maybe changing or maintaining the vision of the organization. Okay, so we usually like to think about this transactional type of leaders of doing things in the right way, doing things right. Okay, but transformational leaders are those who decide what are the right things to do. Okay, so this is the difference: do things right, or what right things to do. Okay, so they're kind of like the different kind of emphasis. Okay, between transactional and transformational leaders. Now, and again, we want to spend more time about the transformational leaders, that they usually identify themselves as change agents. Okay, they want to change. They're courageous. They trust people, and they are usually value driven. Okay, they do things based on whether these things that they do will derive value, will lead to, will bring value to the organization. They value lifelong learning, possess the capability to face complexity, ambiguity, and uncertainty. Okay, and they're usually imaginative, creative, innovative, and visionary. Okay, so when we think about transformational leaders, we think about these qualities. We think about these characteristics. Okay, instead of just doing the task at hand very well. Okay. Sometimes we want to, sort of distinguish between managers and leaders, right? The managers are able to do things very efficiently, doing all the transactions well, but they do not necessarily want to change the organization. They do not necessarily want to take the organization to the next step. Okay, so this is the kind of like the difference that we want to talk about here. Now, and when we talk about transformational leaders, people now want to be, go back to be more practical. Okay, they think that, well, yeah, we know that the trait theories, the behavioral theories, they're older theories, but they're not necessarily useless, right? Because usually we really want this type of characteristics. We want this type of qualities. Okay, so you know, honestly, people still look for like this type of characteristics and traits. Okay, and these are the the things that they look for, and they want to kind of help people to build these type of qualities. Maybe if this individual already has this qualities, they want to enhance them, right? So some of these characteristics include charisma. Okay, yeah, because charisma is a good thing. Okay, and charismatic leaders are individuals who usually exhibit high levels of self-confidence, high levels of trust in subordinates, high expectations, and also ideological vision and purposeful personal example. Okay, so charismatic leaders, they really want to use their own charm and charisma to help the subordinates to lead the organization in a certain direction. Okay, sometimes they're good. Some other times, this might be too subjective. But this is one characteristics of this transformational leader that we usually can find. Now, but there are like other approaches. People, again, as the field develops, people have different views about what makes a leader transformative. Okay, what makes a leader transformational? What makes a leader desirable? Okay, so this servant leadership approaches, emphasize managing people that begins with a clear and compelling vision. Okay, something that can excite passions in the leader and commitment in those who follow. Okay, so this is a different approach. It's like a leader who seeks to serve. Okay, to serve the maybe the other or subordinates, the bigger organization. Not just himself or herself, but really to serve. Okay, using more servant types of attitude to lead the organization. Now, and this is the going back to the focus. Okay, just to remind you, the transformational leader is to focus toward the entire organization. The behavior is to build follower commitment towards these organizational objectives. Again, transformational leaders do not necessarily do the transactions very well. They don't necessarily do every task in a more efficient way, but they want to change the entire organization. We talk about the servant type of leadership. They focus more on the followers, and how these followers can achieve this organizational objectives. A bigger goal. Higher course. That all the subordinates will want to achieve. So this is like the servant type of leadership. And finally, we have another more contemporary or also increasingly popular approach of leadership, which is called a collaborative leadership. Okay, now this is almost like a capacity that leaders should develop or can develop. It is this capacity to engage people and groups outside one's formal control and inspire these groups, these people to work toward some common goals. Okay, now collaborative leadership, in my view, is kind of like the most difficult, challenging, and it might be inviting challenges and criticism sometimes, but it's also something that can potentially be most useful. Okay, because these leaders they recognize differences in convictions, cultural values, and operating norms. Okay, but despite these differences, they still try to engage people. They still try to collaborate with people. Okay, so this is um, um, the type of leadership style that becomes increasingly popular, and people really want a more collaborative relationship between subordinates and supervisors or leaders. Okay, to really get everyone engaged and participative in organizations. Now, this requires many important things, right? If we want to achieve this type of collaborative leadership, or maybe even other types of leadership, but doing it in the right way. We have other ideas in the field, okay, especially in psychology, other fields like sociology also make, and political science also make a lot of useful contributions to the understanding of leadership in healthcare organization. Now, and I'm sure you've heard of this emotional intelligence. Okay, people now they think that intelligence is not just about like our traditional way of thinking about IQ. Okay, we're thinking about intelligence as an emotional quality. Okay, so emotional intelligence or EQ, okay, emotional quotient, sometimes called, involves the self-assessment of one's own feeling and the feeling of others to guide one's own thinking and action. Basically, try to calm down, try to control one's emotion and understand feeling of himself or herself and others. Okay, in order to help use this thinking and to help to guide actions. Now, usually emotional intelligent people or the things that building emotional intelligence involve a very strong self-awareness, self-management or regulation, especially related to emotions, self-motivation to always try to improve, empathy or social awareness. Okay, understand the situation, the people, the society, and also social skills for sure. And these are things that people can develop, right? So if you think about in this perspective, we know that an emotionally intelligent leader, right, can build these characteristics. Okay, increase his or her own self-awareness, managing or regulating these emotions, and try to always be motivated, pay attention to society, have a strong social awareness and good social skills. Okay, interact with people, talk to people, and try to have good conversation and maybe constructive criticisms, against others, and they are all like useful things, to build up this emotional intelligence. And that's why these old theories about traits and behaviors, they still seem to be useful, but uh, more contemporary or new approaches is to build these traits, is to build this competency, right? So it's not like these trait theories, this behavior early theories, they are useless, right? They're still useful, okay? But we're trying to build these competencies, just like you were trying to build your public health competencies, okay? So behavioral competencies define the skills, knowledge, abilities, and actions that distinguish superior performance. And a competency is what outstanding performance do more often, okay? In more situations with better results than average performers, okay? And you want to be competent in this way, right? And for these sort of like the movement about building these leadership competencies. Many organizations, associations, in healthcare, in the healthcare sector, they really they think that this is very important. Okay, so like we said, right, we want to we have this leadership assignment exactly because we want you to be able to develop this competency as well. So think about this, all these theories, in a deeper way. Think about how it relates to your own situation. And again, we are going to have this leadership assignment to help you think about all this theory, to reflect on this, and maybe your plan, how you incorporate reactions from followers, to improve your plan and your actions and so on. These organizations, if you're interested, you can Google them, and try to look at whether they have some leadership exercise or some case studies or examples. Okay, and they're all very good. Okay, the National Center for Healthcare Leadership, American College of Healthcare Executives, and also Healthcare Leadership Alliance. I think I went to some of these conferences before. ACHE, 1 year, they were in Oregon, I think, and or Seattle, I forget. But I went there, and I think these are all very useful organizations. I mean, all good organizations that emphasize very strongly in leadership. Okay, so maybe in the future you will have opportunities to, go to one of the conferences organized by these organizations, and maybe learn more things about leadership. Okay, but now I think we're good. Time is up, and I hope you learned something about leadership now, at least theoretically. Okay, and in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we're going to. I'm trying to organize the discussion forums in a way to help you use this virtual platform to exercise your leadership skills, okay, and reflect on this leadership skills, okay. So I am going to stop now. You're going to look at Blackboard, to get more instructions about the leadership exercise. But I hope you learned something, and make sure you also do all the reading assignment, okay. So I'm going to stop now. I'm going to see you again next week, okay. Thank you very much. Bye bye.